The Sumerians wrote about it. The ancient Egyptians warned about it. The Maya recorded it in stone. The Aboriginal people of Australia passed it down through song for 10,000 years. The Aztecs, the Chinese, the Greeks, the Hindus, the Norse, every single one of them tells the same story. A great flood, a world consumed by water, and a handful of survivors who carried the memory of catastrophe into the future. 200 civilizations, separated by oceans, separated by thousands of years, and yet the same story. This is either the greatest coincidence in human history, or it actually happened. Let's start with the most famous version. The Bible tells us that God looked upon the earth and saw corruption everywhere. He chose one man, Noah. He commanded him to build an ark, to save his family and 2 of every living creature. Then the rain came, for 40 days and 40 nights, until the entire world was underwater. Now here is where for centuries, scientists dismissed these stories as myths, as primitive attempts to explain natural disasters. But then, something changed. Geologists began studying what happened at the end of the last ice age, around 12,000 years ago, and what they found was extraordinary. At the peak of the last ice age, massive glaciers covered much of North America, Europe, and Asia. These glaciers locked up enormous amounts of the world's water. As a result, sea levels were roughly 400 feet lower than they are today. 400 feet. That means vast areas of land that are now underwater were once dry land, inhabited land. Then the ice began to melt. Not slowly, not gradually, in violent, catastrophic surges. Scientists have documented rapid jumps in sea level, moments when the oceans rose by meters in a matter of decades or even years. Coastlines that had been home to human settlements for generations vanished beneath the waves, forever. And here is the haunting part. Underwater archaeologists have found them. Sunken cities, ancient settlements, submerged beneath the ocean, perfectly preserved, off the coasts of India, Japan, the Mediterranean, and the Black Sea. Robert Ballard, the same explorer who found the Titanic, led an expedition into the Black Sea, and at the bottom, he found something that changed everything. Ancient shorelines, freshwater shells, the remains of human structures, buried under hundreds of feet of water. The Black Sea was once a freshwater lake, surrounded by settlements, and then, around 7,600 years ago, the Mediterranean broke through. In one of the most catastrophic events in human prehistory, salt water poured in at 200 times the force of Niagara Falls. An entire world drowned in days. The people who survived would have fled in every direction, carrying with them the memory of what they had witnessed. And that memory became a story that was passed down, generation after generation, across 10,000 years, in 200 different languages. The Great Flood. Now I want to tell you something that most people in the West don't know. The Quran also describes the flood in extraordinary detail, but the Quranic account contains something that neither the Bible nor the Sumerian texts include. A detail so specific that it stopped scientists cold. The Quran says that during the flood, water gushed forth from the earth itself. Not just rain from the sky, water erupting from underground. For decades, scholars treated this as a poetic description, a metaphor. Then, in 2016, a team of researchers announced something remarkable. Deep beneath the Earth's surface, in the transition zone between the upper and lower mantle, scientists discovered a reservoir of water, hidden in rock, containing more water than all of the Earth's oceans combined. Water, stored underground, in unimaginable quantities. And 1,400 years ago, a text described water pouring forth from the earth during a global catastrophe. Make of that what you will. Now let's talk about the part of this story that has obsessed explorers, archaeologists, and governments for over a century. The Ark. The Bible places it on the mountains of Ararat, which is in eastern Turkey. Dozens of expeditions have searched for it, and what they have found is deeply strange. In 1959, Turkish military pilots photographed an unusual formation on the slopes of Mount Ararat, a boat-shaped object half buried in rock and ice. The dimensions matched the biblical description of Noah's Ark almost exactly. It became known as the Darupanar site. Researchers who visited the site found something even stranger beneath the surface: petrified wood. Iron oxide deposits arranged in regular patterns, structures that appeared to be the remains of an internal framework. The Turkish government was so intrigued that they built a visitor center at the site. Now, does this prove Noah's Ark exists? No, the evidence is disputed. Scientists disagree. But here's the question nobody can answer. If the flood never happened, why does every civilization on Earth remember it? If Noah's Ark is just a story, why have three separate governments, Turkey, Iran, and China, reported finding wooden structures at the summit of mountains that would have been impossible to build there? Here is what the evidence suggests. 12,000 years ago, the world looked completely different. Sea levels were hundreds of feet lower. Vast coastlines, now underwater, were home to advanced settlements. Then the ice melted, catastrophically, in surges that modern science has now confirmed. Cities drowned, civilizations collapsed overnight. The survivors scattered across the globe, carrying with them the memory of what they had lost. And everywhere they went, they told the story. The Sumerians wrote it down, the Hindus chanted it in Sanskrit, the Aboriginal Australians sang it around fires for 10,000 years. The Maya carved it in stone, and 1,400 years ago, it was recorded in the Quran with a detail about water erupting from the earth itself, a detail that modern science would only confirm in 2016. 200 civilizations, the same story. This was not a coincidence. This was a memory. The question is no longer whether the Great Flood happened. The question is, what else did those survivors know? That question leads somewhere very dark and very interesting. Next time on The Last Witness Files, subscribe and don't miss what comes next.